Well, I just realized that my microphone was muted. So, anyway, let's try this again, and I'm just going to keep that in for comedic effect. Anyway, hello, welcome, good afternoon, and welcome to the OMNI Coalition News Show, aka TOCNS. This show is an amalgam of strange, weird, bizarre, off-the-wall, and otherwise things you don't normally see anymore from most news sources these days. During a time of political overabundance and divisiveness, we present you with more unifying topics to discuss, for the most part. For links to the articles, the music done by Carrera, and anything else potentially interesting, check the under by the description below. Anyway, I am Aoxander, and today is Moon's Day, also known as Monday, January 9th, 2023. So, gonna move on to the news today, and as I was saying about the Trump gif, that I had a friend who wanted to get into like a little bit of a gif battle with me, and yeah, I pulled out my Trump card. Anyway, we got a story here from Rebel News. Video game company fired woman over complaints from BronyCon trans activist. The firing has sparked controversy on social media, with some accusing limited-run games of lacking diversity of thought, values, and experiences. This is interesting. A transgender activist has successfully advocated for the firing of a woman from her job in the video game company Limited Run Games. On January 6th, Purple Tinker, a transgender woman who is known for founding BronyCon, a convention for adults who enjoy dressing up as My Little Pony characters, tweeted complaints against a woman named Cara Lynn, accusing her of transphobia and following right-wing transphobic creeps. Well, in a sane world, things would have ended up differently, but unfortunately we do not live in a sane world anymore. The tweet also stated that unless Lynn was fired from the company, Tinker would not give them another single dime. Well, I don't want to get too much into this because it's starting to enrage me that people actually listen to people like this. Like, a convention for adults who enjoy dressing up as My Little Pony characters, and then you're going to take her complaints and actually, like, listen to her. Like, that, you know, doing stuff like that is why the world is in the state it is right now. You know? Just going to lay it right out there. Anyway, we're going to move on up here. More from Rebel News. The duo of Canadian doctors brag about euthanizing 700 patients. Yeah, talking about awful people, here's another couple of awful ones. It is the most rewarding work we have ever done, boasted Ellen Wabe, a doctor who works with Dying with Dignity Canada. Absolutely disgusting. Like, I cannot understand how people can think like this. Sociopaths. According to the Daily Mail, a man who had been denied access to Canada's lax medical assistance in dying program reached out to Dr. Aileen Webb for the service. The man traveled to Vancouver and Wave euthanized him. Obstetrician Stephanie Green admitted to killing 300 people in the same manner. Green calls the act a delivery. Well, maybe if the government didn't make life so rough for people that they would rather die than exist in the horrid conditions that they're turning the world into, you know, then they wouldn't be going through all this. The Canadian government's medical assistance in dying MAID program has been mired in scandal since its inception in 2016, as it should. Military veterans, including a Paralympian, Christine Gauthier, who was injured in a training exercise and was unable to convince Veterans Affairs bureaucrats to provide her with a home chair lift for her wheelchair. See, that's what I'm talking about. They're not doing things that actually help people, you know, live in the world. They're just like they're just pushing for them to off themselves. Like, it's awful. Like, this is just absolutely awful. I got to move on up. This is just really disturbing. So here we go. This is something really nice. More from Rebel News. Governor DeSantis announces plans to replace Walt Disney World's special self-governing power with state-run board. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. The planned legislation will also ensure that the company pays around $700 million in unsecured debts accumulated by Disney's special jurisdiction known as the Reedy Creek Improvement District rather than Orange County taxpayers. So, goes on to say here, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has announced plans to introduce a bill that would replace Walt Disney's special self-governing power with a state-run board. The notice was posted on the website of Osceola County, which is home to part of Disney World along with Orange County. According to sources in the governor's office, the legislation will mandate that members of the board be appointed by the governor. Quote, the corporate kingpin has come to an end, end quote, said Taryn Fensky, DeSantis' communications director. Another quote, under the proposed legislation, Disney will no longer control its own government, will live under the same laws as everyone else, will be responsible for their outstanding debts, and will pay their fair share of taxes, end quote. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. Thank you, DeSantis. This is awesome. Like, you know, I'm really toning myself down here. Like, I want to launch some fireworks right now. I want to celebrate. I'm really holding myself back. I am giddy as all hell. This brings a smile to my face. You know, it's things like this that really give me hope that there is a future of mankind. You know, like things like Disney need to stop. They need to be held accountable. Did you know that Google doesn't pay taxes? You know? Like the breaks that all these corporations get, like, it is astonishing. And like I mentioned it before in several other shows, out here, like, you know, out in Anaheim, you know, not too far, like within a certain bubble around Disneyland, Disney has a say in the politics, you know, and, you know, legislature and laws of those immediate areas. Like, and, you know, like, they do it so that way, like, you know, you don't build a building too tall and, like, you know, you're in Disneyland and you see a tall building, it breaks your immersion. That's their excuse. But, you know, on top of that, you know, obviously fireworks are illegal in California. Well, what does Disney do every night of the summer during fire season in Southern California? Fireworks shows. So they're exempt. Rules for thee, not for me. So, yes, we need to put Disney where they belong. Anyway, let's move on up here. More from Rebel News. Manitoba Tories send patients abroad for life-saving surgeries. Hopes initiative will reduce COVID backlogs. Good Lord. Manitoban Kim Curlio is spreading awareness to residents that their long-awaited hip replacement surgery could happen soon, but they must be willing to travel across to access life-saving surgeries. Abroad to access. So, in August, the Manitoba government announced a new agreement for hip and knee surgeries in Ohio, and only Curlio has made the trip. She traveled to Cleveland, Ohio in November for a procedure she has been waiting for since 2019. According to SecondStreet.org policy brief on reducing patient suffering, replicating the EU's cross-borders directive would reduce patient suffering in Canada and ease pressure on domestic waiting lists, though the brief argues it is unlikely that most patients would utilize this option. Quote, if Canada adopted this approach, it could increase health expenditures in the near term, but lower expenses in the medium term as governments shift when they pay for procedures, end quote, reads the brief. So essentially, actually, yeah, there's more to this article. Curillo added that the province's surgical backlog would decrease if people accessed out-of-province alternatives, but she said, quote, it seems like some people are scared, end quote. Last year, Manitoba pledged to cover hundreds of people's costs to get surgeries in other jurisdictions. The province is hopeful that these arrangements will reduce the backlog of patients waiting for surgeries and diagnostic tests caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the province, only 140 people have gone under the knife outside Manitoba. But, yeah, this is interesting. Like, cities are so backlogged with things because, like, you know, after all the lockdowns and all that stuff, nobody can get surgeries, nobody can, you know, unless, like, you know, it was absolutely, like, you know, you were going to die if you didn't do that. You know, everything else was put on hold, and, you know, my dad, you know, skimmed out of that through the skin of his teeth, you know, like, a couple years prior, he got his duo knee replacements, so, yeah, thankfully we got that done before all this mess. But yeah, now, like, everybody, like, you know, all these multiple years of waiting influx, whoosh, and yeah, the hospitals are overwhelmed. So this is interesting. I'd like to see how this plays out. Let's move on up here. From Audio Central, college students are using AI-powered chatbots to cheat in school. A South Carolina college professor is sounding the alarm on the use of advanced chatbots powered by artificial intelligence by students to complete various assignments. Darren Hick, an assistant philosophy professor at Furman University, claims that one of his students used ChatGPT, an advanced AI-powered chatbot recently released by OpenAI and freely available to the public, to create a philosophy essay. While checking the essays turned in by his students, one caught his eye because of the unusual wording. It wasn't grammatically incorrect, but it wasn't language that a human college student would use. He compared it to the work of a very smart 12th grader, adding that the chatbot's capacity to produce original works both terrorized and fascinated him. Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if we spoke about this on the show, but, like, I remember talking about this recently, or seeing a video, or hearing about it. But yeah, like, we might have to change our entire educational, like, you know, like, way we do it, if people can just use AIs to, like, you know, generate essays, generate book reports. You know, they're not actually putting in the work. We gotta, like, you know, alter the entire education system in ways that I couldn't even have imagined. This is insane. He goes on to say, quote, "It's a clean style, but it's recognizable. I would say it writes like a very smart 12th grader," end quote, the college professor said. Another quote, "There's particular odd wording used that was not wrong, just peculiar. If you were teaching somebody how to write an essay, this is how you would tell them to write it before they figured out their own style," end quote. So yeah, that's really concerning. That makes you wonder, because all it takes is, like, you know, 1 or 2 generations to lose something, and humanity, like, being literate, knowing how to read is a privilege. Nobody handwrites things anymore, you know, and that aids in, you know, cognitive ability to memorize and stuff. Like, you know, you just type everything in. You know, we have automatic, you know, like voice to text, stuff like that, text to voice, you know, like, everything is automated. Like, you know, like, as I've said, this is why I'm a neo-Amish. Like, we've crossed the threshold of technology that might actually threaten humanity's literacy. So, this is not good. Let's move on up here. More, from the Mirror. Plan unveiled to move 3,000 NHS patients to care homes as it's branded sticking plaster. What is this? Around 3,000 hospital patients will be moved into care homes, privately run hospitals, and even hospices within weeks to ease strain on England's stricken NHS, I guess National Healthcare System. In a statement to Parliament, Health Security Steve Barclay confirmed the emergency plan to free up beds as he blamed a surge of flu cases. He admitted, quote, "I and the government regret the experience for some patients and staff in emergency care has not been acceptable in recent weeks," end quote. But he was blasted by council leaders for announcing tacked-on funding and making a winter emergency plan midway through winter. The £200 million pot that will fund the plan is having to be taken from existing Department of Health and Social Care DHSC budgets. Not good. Really not good. So we were talking about that whole thing with Manitoba and all that stuff, you know, sharing things between the border from Canada to U.S., or at least different things in U.S., Manitoba's in Canada, right? I don't know. Like, but yeah, like, you know, like, well, we've known that the UK has been having a lot of healthcare problems, like, for the past couple of months with all the, you know, the change in the legislator, you know, laws and crap, the strikes and all that stuff, and, you know, the people dying in the ambulance waiting because, you know, they can't have them inside the building for whatever reason. Like, it's just gotten really bad. Anybody who lives in Britain who watches the show, like, you know, like, I really wish there was something I can do to help you. Like, it's I can't imagine the hell you're going through. And, yeah, here we go. We got some more from the Mirror. This is some more British news. Energy bill help for business announced by the government, and it's been slashed. So, slashed already. That's not good. The government has announced a cut-down level of support for business with their energy bills from April. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt said his new energy bills discount scheme would give firms and others the certainty they needed to plan ahead. But the reduced level of help, branded criminal by Labour, threatens to leave many businesses facing a bill shock. Martin Mittag, national chair of the Federation of Small Businesses, branded the new scheme a huge disappointment. He added, quote, "Many small firms will not be able to survive on the pennies provided through the new version of the scheme. This is so out of touch," end quote. The government's current scheme caps the unit cost of gas and electricity for all business and expires at the end of March. The Treasury said this unprecedented package of support for non-domestic users through this winter was worth $18 billion. It will be replaced with a new scheme that offers a discount on wholesale prices until March 31st, 2034. So I'm not following, but, like, that sounds like, you know, gas bills and electricity bills and all that stuff. They're having a bunch of power issues. God, everything's going to shit. Here we go. More from the Mirror. Exclusive to the Mirror, Brit tanks could head to battle in Ukraine as UK escalation set to enrage Putin. British tanks could soon be rolling into the battlefields in Ukraine in a major UK escalation set to enrage Russian President Vladimir Putin. So they're intentionally trying to piss him off. Secretive talks are underway to supply Kiev with British Army Challenger 2 main battle tanks, senior defense sources have revealed. UK tanks on Ukraine soil would be a major defiant gesture towards the Kremlin and could swing the war further into Ukraine's favor. So far, NATO has resisted Kiev's demands for tanks and it may escalate tensions between it and Moscow. But a senior source said, quote, these conversations have been taking place, the talks are ongoing, end quote. Downing Street said it was important to NATO members maintain a coordinated response. The Prime Minister's office said, quote, we are working in lockstep with our G7 and other allies to guard against anything that could be escalatory, end quote. But as I know at least, like, Ukraine is a breadbasket of Europe. If that falls to Russia, then, it doesn't matter if they're a NATO state or not, which they're not. Like, NATO won't be able to survive without food. So, politics just lock everything up, and the UK is just doing things on their own accord right now. So, let's see how this goes. Gonna go out up to UPI, or UPI. Indian men visit all 7 continents in under 4 days to break a world record. This is interesting. Pardon me. A pair of Indian men broke a Guinness World Record by visiting all 7 continents in 3 days, 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 4 seconds. Ali Irani and Sujay Kumar Mitra set out from Antarctica on December 4th and completed their journey when they arrived in Melbourne, Australia on December 7th. The men beat the previous record of 3 days, 14 hours, 46 minutes, and 48 seconds, which was set by United Arab Emirates woman Kohala Al-Ramathi in 2020. That's cool. The record breakers said they do not expect their title to last. Quote, today we might be successful in breaking a record. Tomorrow someone else will break our record, end quote. Mitra told Guinness World Records. But hey, you got it for now, and that's pretty cool. You made the headline, so, that's pretty cool, man. Live your dreams, guys. Live your dreams. And last but not least, one more article here from UPI. We have a 2.8-mile line of fresh baked bread breaks record in Mexico. So yeah, we got a video here. A university in Mexico broke a Guinness World Record by arranging 14,360 fresh baked loaves of bread into a line measuring 2.8 miles long. That's a long bread line right there. Students and faculty members at Universidad Vizcaya Mexicali in Baja California arranged the loaves of Rosca de Reyes bread, a traditional bread made in celebration of the January 6th Three Kings Day holiday, into a line measuring 2.8 miles long. A Guinness World Records agitator was present to confirm the line broke the record for longest line of breads, which was previously set with a 9,874 foot, 2.15-inch line of Rosca de Reyes bread in Tiziaman, Mexico in 2020. The university said the record attempt took more than 90 hours of preparation by 440 volunteers. The finished line of bread featured more than 30,000 plastic dolls inside the loaves, the tradition of Rosca de Reyes bread. So dang, that's really cool. But it has come to that time. We are now at the end of the show. That shall conclude us here. Once again, you can check the underbar of the description for any links you may be interested in, which includes all things OMNI Coalition. For your dose of different, odd and otherwise unknown news, we stream Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, which is 3 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern, and 11 p.m. German and most of Europe time. Anyway, for all of you and all of us, I am Eozander, and you are you. And until you catch us tomorrow, or if you're interested in history, we have a history show every day at 10 in the morning Pacific Time. Anyway, until whenever, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!